Come and get started on a new mission, a new direction, a new intention. Welcome to 5.8G Alive at Connections 50 Plus. I am Terri and Joseph Brathwaite.
And I am Jennifer Gibbons Joseph, catering to all your prospects in the third act of life.
Economic well-being, social gratification, personal fulfillment.
Join us on Wednesday at 6 p.m. on Connections 50 Plus Facebook page, YouTube channel,
and on Gael the Caribbean. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to 5.8G Alive, your magazine show for everyone in the 5.8G cohort, 50 to 80. I am Terri and Joseph Brathwaite, one of the co-creators of Connections 50 Plus, which brings you 5.8G Alive. And with me, as usual.
Hi, welcome. I am Jennifer Gibbons Joseph, the other co-creator of Connections 50 Plus. It's so nice having you here with us this evening. Yes, Terri Ann, still in exciting mood, yeah?
Jennifer, but listen, viewers, we're getting down to business because Jamboree is coming. Y'all remember San Fernando Hill, 25th of May, from 9 in the morning to 4 in the evening. We having Harold Fabian, we having a Babele, we having Jennifer Rouse, all kinds of stuff. But Jennifer, important part of Jamboree is rap sessions. And what we doing? We are preparing you. So Jennifer, what is rap session about?
Because we have, let me tell you, the rap session, 2 rap sessions with Dr. Jennifer Rouse. And we thought, because of course, our topics would be all the concerns that we have, right? So it's not a lecture or anything, it's a rap session. We sitting down, chatting with Dr. Rouse, she's sharing, her expertise, etc. And we thought it would be so nice for our shows. We should have 2. So we have a part 1 and a part 2, where we actually will be in conversation with Dr. Rouse, just chatting about some important topics that we believe that, will be interest to you. And when we really sit down in that rap session with her, then you could bring up some of the concerns you may have about the topics we're going to talk about right now. Okay?
So listen, we're getting in tune with rap session part 1 with Dr. Jennifer Rouse. Tune in.
Well, if you have been following us, and we said so before, we're having 2 rap sessions at the Jamboree. And we did tell you we are having Dr. Jennifer Rouse doing the rap sessions. And the rap sessions really is exactly what we say. It's the rap. So we thought it would be just great doing our two programs at here, 2 shows, part 1 and part 2 with Dr. Rouse, that she can share with us certain topics we will be covering at the rap session. So when you all hear the discussion, you will get very excited to come, to sit down and rap and ask your questions because we're sharing here. But at the rap session, you would have the opportunity to share your views, to, pick Dr. Rouse's brain. Okay, so we want to start off by, there is Dr. Rouse, the question on doing a reality check. That comes up a lot. And we'll ask what you expected after retirement. Many times you retire, and about 3 years into retirement, somebody would say they bored, they thought they would have had more money, and just complain. Or they went on the great trip that they plan on, and then when they come back, they realize they can't. The money done, and the plans that they had every year to travel, realize they can't travel again. So, you want to know that expectations that they had after retire, if it really bear fruit after, what actually happened. So we like you to, let's discuss that.
Sure. And greetings to my colleagues who are viewing. And those of you who have grown accustomed now to seeing this face, and now I am one, like I feel like a partner of the group now.
You're one of us.
You remember, we have Jen and Jennifer. So we can abbreviate my own. Hers is the Jennifer, the official. But it is something because I am in retirement. And what helped me is my language, how I language it. You will hardly hear me in any forum or even when you all see me, because you all know you have been my pantings and whatever. When they say, Rouse, I ain't seen you and I ain't hearing about the division. And I will never say I'm retired.
Yeah.
You will hardly hear me say it so. I will always say either I'm a happy retiree or I am now in retirement. Always keeping it active, always keeping it on flow, because I never say it and qualify it with any particular activity. Yeah? I just say I am active. And if they say, oh, so how you dealing with your loneliness? I said, no, yes. I'm alone. Because that's how they ask the question. So how you dealing with that? Because, well, I know you don't have children and grandchildren and things. So what could keep you active now in retirement? I say, well,
let me say this, like they expect you to be homesick. You know?
Where you're going with your old self. That is always the premise that you're jumping off from, eh? Because there are some that will find out, these are reality checks. The mailbox will even flow and all start to go E. So you're not even getting a bill in the mail. So your mailbox mainly will be tea and tech now. Some flyers from people who pass in near your house. This is your long mailbox that used to be sometimes.
With the part for the magazine.
Follow correspondence from your friends abroad. Everything going E or paperless. So you just randomly look. Now, those things you don't realize start adding up to minuses of things that you used to be accustomed doing. Then you want to drive for your papers. Those who love to go out early morning and get the papers and whatever. All I'm saying up front, especially if it's in walking distance, leave your car. You start to make the changes from the jump. Don't wait for the time to accumulate and you don't realize that it's accumulating. Now, if you throw your memory back to your own parents and your grandparents, you remember how they used to tell us, don't ever let the sun catch you in your bed. They used to tell you that. They don't mean that the sun coming in your room on your bed, because you know now we have all the blinds and all of that and you're cozy and cuddle up, because you're so ecstatic that you don't have to report. You don't have to anything now. You know on your own. So what do you do with this time? How do you maximize, optimize this time that is yours? And I remarked that some of my colleagues would call and say, Rouse, here now. My daughter or my son, they just decide to just drop the grandchildren because they're on their way to either upset or something that they having like an after work line, and they just know you are home.
Yeah, I'm not
doing nothing. That's how they see us. You are at home. They start there. So there is no call before I'm on my way, no. And of course, they may just ring the bell, or they may have a spare key to even enter the gate because it's your children and whatever. So all you know is the doorbell will ring. And of course, from the moment you see the little grandchildren, you know you melt already. You see in the eyes and whatever. They didn't know you were on your way to the spa, because many of us have that. Yes, we do. Where you do your manicure, your pedicure, maybe the massage or half massage, Maybe you consider, I'll go to the gym first. All this you were working out from while you were sipping your morning breakfast, coffee or tea, you were already trying to chart your day because you are now the creator of your own space. Notice I say space, it's not a place yet, because that's the part that we call flow. Sometimes the carnal might turn into a wrong street that you didn't have in mind, and you say, but I didn't know a plant shop was here. All right, you pull up. You pull up. You start to chat with the person in the plant shop and say, but how long have you been here? That is what we're talking about, engagement. Now the owners, go ahead.
Jen. No, it just occurred to me.
Yeah.
And you said reality check with expectations. So for those, and I should have really, for instance, when you're leaving that workplace, should you expect the expectations may be, say the first thing you're going on holidays, then you're home, and somehow, like you're seeing yourself just sitting down happy, etc. Shouldn't you, and I'm thinking of those who early retirement, because I really feel you may need to cover the first 5 years of retirement is different from the next 10 years or beyond. But that early stages, should you set yourself, I'm not saying set a goal for yourself, saying like in this 5 years, yes, I may seal with the children, but I would, let my children know, well, this is, if I'm taking care of children, this is what I'm going to do, because so and so. Set some I using the word guidelines, set parameters for that. What do you think on that?
And you're using the correct words too. You set parameters, better known as boundaries. Now, boundaries tend to sound prohibitive, but it's not. Because remember, once you're living your life on flow, you're also very flexible. Good? So you are flexible to a point where you do not surrender all of yourself to the point of bleeding. And then afterwards you say, oh God, because there are many of us, and I will always be talking of us, who have a real difficulty saying no. And as women, it is like this burden to say no. I will not be available on so-and-so because of so-and-so. And as I will always mention to many of my colleagues, this is not a time when you explain your life away. You had many years of that. And when you start and listen to that is a very important thing. Listen to yourself while you're speaking or while you're saying what you're saying. And you catch yourself halfway, because when you begin the explaining of yourself and why not, and why you're not really going to this line on whatever, that's based on guilt. You on a guilt trip. No. Because you are now leaving conformity to non-conformity, and you didn't realize it is it's a transition. I want to use it. We don't want to use the word we have a leap. It isn't a leap. It's a transition. Now, what you also could have been doing to your own self is knowing that, and Jen, I'll pick up that point, you have a kind of a plan. And it's not a plan that, is a blueprint of this is how it is going to be done. Because that structure is, man proposes, God disposes. It has to be working in tandem with your environment and the what ifs. Yeah. But you don't become bogged down to the what if and if only, because that is a kind of sorry for yourself mode that you don't realize. If you do it often enough, you start bemoaning your own self. Because one of the key disturbances that I used to witness, this wasn't in a textbook, was how stealthily and subtly self-neglect creeps in. You don't realize it until now others would recognize it, but you sometimes don't even realize it. Like, what I getting up to cook for today? You know, just
Dr.
to
Rouse,
cook for one.
let me ask you a question, and it
Yeah.
comes out of something that you said, and I wonder if people end up in this quagmire probably 1 or 2 years into their retirement, where they wonder what to do with all this time.
Yeah.
If it's because we probably focus on the wrong thing. Jenn, you said we should have a plan. We should begin to construct what we'd like our lives to be and things like that.
Right.
And I wonder if it is not realistic to tell someone who for the last 30, 40, 50 years have been responding to instructions, responding to a job description, living in a defined boundary with rules and consequences. So all of a sudden, think without those constructs around them. I am wondering if we should begin by exploring if people really understand that retirement means you've gotten your time back. And what time means, when you have your time back, and just that concept, if you understand every hour of the 24 hours is mine, every minute of every one of the 60s is mine.
It's mine.
And I can therefore decide and choose before you even plan. Because if you understand that retirement means I have gotten my time back, then okay, I could plan. But I think some people don't realize that I have gotten my time back. And therefore, even though I plan, anything could interrupt and take over because it's something else. You know, I am wondering if we really understood retirement means I've gotten my time back, then there's no guilt when you drop on me, disrespecting my time, and I tell you, no, not now, unless I choose to. So I wonder if the starting point is to really have people understand what retirement means.
It's reclamation. You're reclaiming. You're taking ownership back.
That's important.
Because and the important thing of what you're saying is you didn't even realize during those years of work and the extracurricular activities for the children and whatever, that you gave up so much. So that's where the reclamation come, because you didn't even realize you were just being this everything to everybody.
You got a new boss.
Sometimes.
Whether the boss is your children, your grandchildren, your husband,
don't forget the dog.
Church.
Don't forget the dog.
The dog, the church.
Yeah.
So you exchanging one boss for the other, and you never reclaim your time.
Correct.
To do with it as you want.
Correct. And you know what that is the segue to, which is the language I use to me, because I was studying at the time when I turned 50 and so. I was falling in love with me for the first time.
Yep.
That's how I saw it. And you know how it happened? Because I went browsing in the campus bookstore, because I always loved nice cards with good, it was a hallmark. And the card was turning 50. That's in gold. And then it piqued my curiosity, and I said, let me open this, because I think I was 49 then. And the words were so not fluffy. They weren't fluffy. You know, they had a depth to it, a graciousness to it, and a gratitude of having reached this far, and you're now on the cusp now, you're now on the edge of turning 50. And I say, you know, this is me looking at the card. Boy, if somebody could send me this card, that would make my day. And I say, but Rouse, Hello. You
Thank
could
you,
buy the
sir.
card for yourself. And I took the card up
Yep.
and went to the cashier, and she said, well, where's the envelope? I said, it's not being mailed. It's to me. And she was like wanting to laugh off the chair. And then with the same kind of, you know what was nice about the way now that I'm playing it back? It wasn't done with aggression, kind of like I go show them. No, you're not showing this to anybody.
Yeah.
This is why I say it is a space. You're not in a place. You're in a space where you say, wait a minute. I don't have to wait now on anybody to give me this. I could give me. And as I got home and took off my school jacket, and so I just wrote in the card, to me, from me, love always. Now that is not insanity. That is the reclamation. That is the taking back what I gave to everybody.
Yeah.
Whether with judge,
no
anybody
guilt.
come.
There is no room
No
for guilt
guilt.
when you
guilt.
realize it is me. So if somebody makes a demand, Jen, you say we have a plan. If you don't realize that you're planning for your time, somebody else can come and dictate what that plan is. So
Correct. No, serious.
If we need to first stop and say, what does retirement mean? And what does it mean with time?
And what Grace Talma, when she was in her associates, in her firm, and given a talk once, she said, this is a time for refinement, not retirement. Because in all of us, we have a fire. We know that. The era we have come out of, you know that. We went, whether it was that dance, or march, or whatever, we had a fire. Where is that fire now? It is not out, you know. It goes dim. How it goes dim? You put the layers of whether it's cloth. You never blow out it, because that light is an eternal light. But you put the layers. And as we all have discovered, hurtfully for some more than others, one of your biggest manipulators is your family. And when you have to replay the mantras that we were raised on, you have to honor your parents, yes, but you also, you know, your family is like your first community. But until you establish your grounding and say, you know, we come back to this space, and then what about me as last child? What voice do you have?
Yeah.
Who are you? And
But
that
Dr.
was one
Rouse,
of the things I had to answer to, Jen, and I will say this before I tell you, come in. When my dad, who was a very, you know, straight, when he named me as executrix in his will with another one of my siblings, that was discourse for one of the senior ones. How you come to be executrix? So without even a written rule, there are these unwritten rules of the do's and don'ts. In other words, to them, maybe it looked like the baton you passing that not even to the first son, but to the last girl, you know, gender was inside there, youth was inside there, age was inside there, and it mattered. So that's where you stand back and assess, and you look at everybody in their own station and say, wow, this is a community. You are in a community when you are in a family. And so that when you have to make a declaration, you have to almost feel like you're standing before a tribunal. And where it hits home more readily is now the question of sharing caregiving time to the relatives that's still alive. And I will pause there to let Jen make her point. Go ahead,
I
Jen.
mean, this is always a very interesting conversation because it's affecting us, all of us in this call. And I just want to go back when Terri and mentioned that, you know, your thinking is so important when you know you're going to retire. And that's a positive way of thinking, Terri. And when you say, okay, I have the time. This is my time now. And I agree, if you start with that thinking, it helps in terms of you deciding how you want to see the next few years. But if someone during that time don't really haven't set a tone for their life, going forward. So their first 3 years, and I'm going back to time frame, right? The first 3 years or the first 5 years, very miserable. It may be very difficult for them to continue in retirement, doing things, being active in a way that make them happy. But I'm thinking beyond that, then to me, and I'm using myself here as an example, I don't ever feel now I retire. I think that stage of talking retirement is no more. To me, and if early stages, you could, those who want to say they retire, it makes a big difference beyond that. What you think about retirement? This is your life. This is your life, again, to do what you want to do with your time, whatever it is. And we are at that age where we understand now life. We went through the, as Terri and said, 30, 40 years in the workplace. We went through the first 3 or 4 years of either one, we either being very happy about it or being confused about it. But I really believe beyond that, there's no talk about retirement. They talk about this stage we're on. As we say, this
Jennifer,
third stage, how are we enjoying it?
If I could say something, perhaps retirement then is a little 5-year period where you transition from working life to something joyous afterwards, which is life where you live truly on your own terms, managing your time. Yeah. So the retirement is really how to break the habits of being under someone's cabinet boss and give your children 2 days to play boss, give your grandchildren 3 days to play boss. But eventually you have to understand that it is your life, your time, and make decisions. So probably retirement is not the full thing, but it's just a little part to allow your transition to be whatever you choose to be and however you choose to do it.
So that you don't have an abrupt landing. You're coming in like an aircraft.
As you see, you transition for those 3 years
mode
at the beginning. After that, we're good.
After that, you live
definitely
cruising and having fun.
Yes, because that 5-year hiatus is a major, major adjustment. Yeah. And that's the language you would use. It's an adjustment. And you will, you even how you walk changes, how you walk, how you sometimes you're smiling, you only know you're smiling when somebody calls out to you and say, like you're real happy with yourself, but you have to reach that point of contentment.
Perhaps,
you see that word?
Perhaps job number one. Job number one is train yourself.
Yes.
In the 5 years, you have to train yourself, train the family.
See that word? You see that word again, Terri Ann. You have no idea how critical it is, because I used it kind of summarily in something I was saying. Oh, it was when I was talking with just a little group of us. It wasn't anything formal. And it was after COVID. After COVID, just was it was a cataclysm for the world to just stop.
Yeah.
Stop. Start to look. And you're not looking outward now. You're looking at you, because you heard how our group was the vulnerable, the most. We were the ones with the most comorbidities, whatever. Comorbidities don't come overnight.
The dying group.
I'm telling you. So that started way back. So because you hear this now, with Dr. Fauci and all of them, you now gone into mortality mode. So that when anybody say, girl, you in the waving gallery, well, hello, Piaco don't even have that again. So where they talking? You have no waving gallery. You now on you. So it's either some will take from COVID, because COVID changed the whole game plan, the whole game plan for the world. Some will look at that and say, oh my God, they've gone into now fear mode. FEAR, false evidence appearing real. So they're not going, they were accustomed going out to plenty little activity, whether it's a fair, a craft market, whatever, they're just paranoid now. Who caused that? You can't blame that on COVID. COVID was just a wake-up call. There are some others now would say, necessity is the mother of invention. You see me? This is how I go in. In my case, mine was, rather than say a plan, I said a template. You see the template I was using? That was for that incarnation. You see the template going forward? I gonna be the best version of me.
Exactly.
Guess what? Who marking the papers? Me.
Exactly.
Who setting the questions? Me. Who set the exams? Me. When I fail, I go in a corner. Who talking? Me. There is nobody else. So that me, I say, but wait, the way I doing this, God had to be in the plan.
Yes.
God and me coming as like one now. Because I actually telling him, you can't mess up now, because I know on a change plan. I know on a transition now to being a new me. So I'm not using any set of big words like, nirvana and bliss, like sounding otherworldly. No. I want something that sounds doable, that sounds attainable, while I am in this space. I am not looking at, boy, let me see how my family tree look like. Everybody had died when they were in the 80s, and everybody this, and on my mother's side. No, I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing that.
Dr.
And
Rouse,
as a result, yes.
could I ask you, when you are, I think that is such a critical exercise for every person to do.
Precisely.
To sit down and say, okay, now I finish work, children grow up, I'm an empty nester. I have to think about me. But to many people, what you just said sounds so selfish. Sounds like it exclude children, exclude husband, exclude grandchildren, exclude parents, exclude neighbor. But I don't think it does. Could you talk about how necessary it is to first check you so that you could be better to all these other bosses?
Well put. The best analogy that is always used on the aircraft, who's put on the mask first again? You understand? If the mother don't put it on, even before the child, you have to get the oxygen. You have to zest up. You have to pump up. And you use the exact word that I said to myself. I said, listen, and hear how I got there. We tend to live our lives sometimes like the frogs in this barrel. They were born in the barrel. They live and grow in the barrel. They swish around in the water that come from the rain in the barrel. Flies and things come in the barrel. They eat. Everybody happy, yeah? Everybody hopping around. Well, of course, they interbreed and whatever, because they ain't moving. There are some people that have lived that life.
Yeah.
They ain't going beyond that circle. They intermingle, they go out. Everything is with that circle, that clan. Until one day, a frog come on the rim. And they see the reflection of him in the water. They jump because he looked like them. But where he come from? Who is you? They're trembling in fear. And then he said, but I looking at you all in wonderment to know why all of you all on top one another down in this small place when up here have real food. You're talking about abundance. You could go anywhere, anytime, any hour. So they're now trembling. But you know, as in all families, they always have one that would say, I'm going and take that deer. Because Mr. Frog that come on the rim say, listen, I'm stretching over. Just jump and grab my hand and I'll pull you for you can see. So this little fresh one, who always sometimes is the youngest or the middle, whichever position, mother and father trying to say, where you going? You have no idea who this man is. That you know the list. All the because when we check ourselves, fear is such an immobilizing thing. I just want to call it a thing. That when you have to make that risk, take that risk out of not knowing, out of uncertainty, you will get all who around you to give you a scroll with all the reasons why you not to take that jump.
Yeah.
They will have it on their fingertips. And then you might just say, you know, you could be right. But if the fire, the little light, the little burn inside say, but I didn't see why not.
Is your
And the person say, is because this is your time. That what Whitney you said, that moment in time. And how do we know it? Lost opportunity, flung arrow, and the spoken word. It don't come back. So here is my Mr. Brave say, but I can't reach. How I will reach your hand? He said, check your back leg. The back leg fall, you know how a frog back leg fall. He said, you were already designed. You were designed to leap. However, and this is where your word comes in, by not using it, by not seeing how you are built, how you were designed, the skeleton of a human being, when you hold it, it never stands still. It is designed to be active. So when you adopt a sedentary life, who did it? Was you. Nobody told you you had to. And then, oh God, when you add the little air condition to the room, to the car, to the job, to the whatever. So the comfort created stasis. Stasis as in stagnant. You get comfortable.
Dr. Rouse,
yes, love.
All what you're saying there, which is so true, I am thinking then.
Yeah.
For those persons, because I know of many people who, because with all the time that they have, they just didn't know what to do with it in the earlys, did nothing, and continue their life at this stage doing nothing. But I always wonder, what is the best way for them to come out of it? Just as how you refer using the frogs. And to me, it's if these sector that I'm speaking about who feel that they just stop, that maybe having someone, because we said it before, for the last 40 years, this is all you know. And then you have all this time and you don't have that capacity, let me put it that way, to know what to do with it. Because nobody,
no
this is a new stage for us.
Nobody giving you instructions.
Nobody, right.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and we who may be able to do it better and enjoy our time, not working all the time that we have, may take it for granted or watch those people and say, well, why they can't do that? But from what you just outlined there, using the analogy of the frogs, then, and I'm saying this because we're going back to this, the rap session and the jamboree.
Right.
People need to understand, those people who feel stuck and may say, Dr. Rouse could say anything, Terri or Jennifer could say what they want, but I can't move. Or even their companions with them who want to help them. They don't know what to do. And from what you're saying, the best way is to take that leap. Like how the frog would use the back leg and jump.
Correct.
Actually take that leap, and that leap would be attending a seminar, show something that will light that fire under you. And I am saying, and I'm putting a plug here, and it's not just a plug, you're all hearing it,
Yeah.
you're hearing it from the experts, is
Correct.
that a rap session, when you're among similar people who all enjoying this time of life,
Correct.
and deep down you really want to enjoy it, when you sit among that group, that energy, you don't even have to talk.
No.
Because what the others, what you would be saying, Dr. Rouse, and what the other
Correct.
the members who want to talk. And some people talk out freely, like myself,
Correct.
that you could say, hey, you know what she's saying is true. And you responding, and by you responding to whoever, may ask the question or share, that other person leading. So that way to get out of that rut, to really enjoy this time of life, is to be among people who are already enjoying it.
Precisely.
And let that energy
Because
spread.
that's what I was going to tell you.
Say, that is the answer.
That's
that
it.
leap like a frog. You see the others enjoying themselves. You leap and you're enjoying that session.
And that's why.
Yes, no. Because all your frightened people, Dr. Rouse, all you don't use the word leap now. Say stretch. Don't use the word leap. Leap means you go on.
But that's coming back to
leap too high.
I use
but
it.
But a leap for them, Terri, and it's a leap. If you leap, they remain right there.
To come back to Terri Ann's word that she used about training, because when little Mr. Fresh Up say he want to come up to see, and the daddy or whoever the adult who said, hold my hand, said, you know what happened? You wouldn't be able to reach right now because you have to train.
Yes.
You got it? So every day.
Sometimes I don't agree with that one. I need to you just take that leap of faith and
then
go.
Some who never thought they could, just looking at the ones who modeling it already, just as she said, they will leap.
Some people don't like to train and they use that as an excuse. They're not doing no training.
They would say, now where I going now every day.
You know what? You have some trainers.
I'm not recommending no training. I just go.
You have some trainers. You have some leapers. You have some who leap and go. You have some who have to warm up.
That's right. They have
and then they have
all what we doing here is the training. There's the training aspect.
But what we doing right here,
is the training aspect.
What we doing right here, we are actually demonstrating. Now,
we're preparing them for that leap.
Jennifer used the word, even though it is virtual, we are generating an energy, which they are catching when they are viewing. It's an energy that's not bounded by a local space. It's non-local space we dealing with. So they will catch it and say, well, look at the three of them, how they having a good time. Yeah. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
We take our leap from day one.
Nobody
listen, man. My leap was at 21. 21. And they just knew that I was mad. Because how could a girl be leaving home, not married, not going to get married, not going to study, but going to live on her own in Trinidad, where everybody know who is who? That is a madness. No, but maybe sometimes you have to appear mad, as she said, because that has to be how deep is your passion.
Yeah.
How that is the driver,
Yeah.
Because Jen, I will tell both you and Terri Ann, even when packing, I crying, the tears were coming down, but I still packing.
That you're going.
That are going. I have to leave the nest. And it is not based on any aversion.
You release the fear.
You are both exceptional people. We are all three exceptional people. And if this issue, people have this problem with you go through they spend the first 5 years of retirement trying to not be retired. They're busy trying to do what they would do.
They're holding on.
They're holding on and they're clawing.
Yeah.
Then the first 3 or 5 years goes, you spend the pension money bad. Yeah. you spend the savings.
Don't forget, renovate the house.
You renovate the house. And
money that's not coming back.
Then you realize
then it hits you.
Realities that really hit you with the pension, that this pension is not the income that you thought it was, because you didn't train yourself to acknowledge the other part of life. You didn't
and to retain that quality of
Reparation.
life.
You didn't even
Correct.
give yourself a chance to think of who else are you other than that employee,
Correct.
that position, that job,
Correct.
that homemaker, that whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you know, that really
Yeah.
seems to me to be for the people who retirement, they seem to be lost in retirement. And I think that happens after the 65, after the 5 years. I'm giving it a
Yeah.
5 years.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It is.
Where
It is
you-
real.
Because you
Yeah.
waste the transition period, which is retirement.
Yeah.
You
And
waste
you would know, you would be amazed at Terri, and you see that point, one of the points you made. I was there to witness it myself. You know, I went back to the ministry for something they had for me to pick up, you know. And somebody who I think was working in the social welfare department had come for something else, you know. And she's waiting for the guard. Okay, the guard allow her, and then she has to sign in on the book and whatever. And I remember her saying to the receptionist, I worked here, you know. It's a sort of like she wanted to, the
You-
kind of nonchalance, the kind of, let me not use a big word, the kind of dismissal, dismissive. Dismissive. We ain't gone disrespect yet. We ain't even reached disrespect yet. Dismissive. In other words,
she was not
I am looking at
recognized.
the nonverbal. I am looking at the nonverbal, which was chagrin for her.
Yeah.
Nobody looked up to
Yeah.
say,
Oh.
absent.
Actually, I want to know what you're doing here, what you come back for.
At
Who are
least
you?
that wasn't there. Then the person who writing in the book can have a pen or something. And the shock, I know it was a shock that she got to be now on the client side, then getting a sneak preview of all the people who's be on the call and radio call-in programs complaining. She is now one of them, a beneficiary. And she was trying really at that point to reclaim her space. In other words, all she didn't do was preface it by, do you know who I am? That's all she didn't say. But the dismissive, the guard couldn't care two hoots who you be. We deal, and worse yet to know who you were. We not even going there. We don't know who you are. And we don't want to know who you were. So don't even go there.
Yes.
You see that self-esteem, that erosion, and that's what some of the persons, the men in the protective services and defense force who have to leave all between 45 and 50, that's what some of them call me to say. You say here now, they're going for their papers and nobody standing now to say, boss, no, you going for your papers like any Joe Blow.
They didn't retire. They didn't use the 5 years to retire so that they could start a new life. No training, no leaping, no stretching, no planning.
Dr. Rouse,
yes.
Again, and I just want to use this situation and for those who in our audience right now who listen, that early stage, and I just want to repeat that, if persons don't handle it right in terms of, and we say it a lot, Terri, you're released, you're no longer especially and the men and women.
Yeah.
And to me, I don't want to say more men than women, but those who had status in the workplace, and they don't know how when they walk out that you leave that status behind and admit they are no more, especially now where companies not bringing you back. They don't need you again.
They don't need you anymore.
You know, if you don't admit, and I shouldn't even just say those with status, not anybody, because even if you don't have status, the fact that you was going to work, you were employed,
you had somewhere to go.
You dressed and was going into the office.
The neighbors see you going somewhere.
Was meaningful.
Yes. Jennifer, the neighbors see you going.
That 5 and we see we coining our new youth here on connections on 5.83. That is that 5 years is your retirement years to get yourself together. After that, you're good. you're on the third act stage and you're happy, you know. But what I want to say, and I want to use a situation, there are many situations like this, but for
Right.
your expert advice, for those who haven't been able to really prepare in their way and you know, accept the fact that they have lots of time, etc. I know at least 3 situations where those individuals never accepted the fact that they're no longer employed and have been in depression.
Yeah.
You know,
They
so
don't feel
their
useful.
families really
Yeah.
suffering as it, because they can't enjoy their time with them, and they're getting deeper and deeper and deeper. How do you, and I know you're not, don't get in, I'm not expecting you to get into too technical, but it's just for the families. In terms, you know, you hear some people will say, well, just keep loving them, just keep showing them love, but they themselves in their heads.
They're not open.
They're not there. Can you drag them out of the house to do something? I'm saying it like a real local.
Yeah.
Whether you want to go or not, come, let us
That's how you have to
whether
do
it's
it.
by the beach.
That's how you have to do it. And you know how you have to do it, Jen? You're doing it as how you would have liked somebody to do it to you had you been in that.
If you're in that stage.
In that stage. You follow? So I would say what you do, or you find out little things like when is your birth date? And then like
because a family in the house, so they're in the house. So you have an idea of what they like or don't like and all that.
And I say, guess what? We're going for tea at Hilton. Just say that.
Yeah.
Don't worry with the number of how old you reach. I'm taking you out and you'll have a surprise. And maybe being in the family setting or knowing the person over the years, you knew who was her best friend or the one that she would talk about more. You contact that one person. It don't have to be a crowd.
Yeah.
But that one person. You follow? And you make that little arrangement just for tea. And these are places that they don't even, maybe they never experienced or never even experienced a gesture from somebody, or my favorite, being served. You would be amazed, Jen.
Recognize in a way, the skills. They
are different shows. I call a girlfriend here, I call a next one there, I call a male if you're going too far. From the moment that person say, by the way, I'm picking you up, I say, oh God, I ain't have to drive. You understand? But it's more than just, I don't have to drive. And I always tell them, I say, girl, nothing like when you're being served. I'm telling you, it does something to the psyche. It does something to that feeling of belonging, a feeling of recognition. I am somebody, you know, that you took the time. That's why the statement there.
That hit me, though, that you see that recognition.
That recognition,
because that is what they may have missed from the workplace. Like they feel like they're nobody
invisible.
Now.
They were invisible.
And what you're just thinking, because especially in terms of the men to those, it's just coming to me as you said, they like a football or Steven or whatever. You just say, look, I have the tickets, let's go, and you sort of, in a way, and
you
but in doing that,
you don't underuse force, but it's firmness.
Yeah, but in doing that, you recognize them for who they are and you show appreciation.
Yes, and you see, they have wooed themselves into a depressive state. So you find, look at the posture. They sit like this in the bed or in the couch.
And they didn't want to do anything you ask them, they don't want to do.
You follow?
Okay.
And you know, and the person knew the stature that they used to have when they walked into the office. They had a presence, you know?
Yeah.
And you might even make a joke and say, boy, don't tell me no here, you know, because I done make the reservation already. So we go.
Yeah, it's a kind of, you do it. And you
that's it. Don't give them a plan of what you want to do. You come and you say, go ahead. All you might
Because
say,
you're doing
hey,
something you know they like, obviously.
and
Yeah.
and you know, both of you benefit. Both of you benefit.
Oh, yes.
You benefit in a different mode because the openness of both of you, there is a kind of synergy that goes between you. And he or she that you took will end up laughing louder than you, more than you, and whatever, you know. And they will inevitably ring you after to say, girl, here now, you know what you do, you know. That's where the sparks begin. So that caveat you played wasn't just about talking it. You walked your talk.
You walk, that's what I'm thinking, yeah.
And you know what the person would recognize is because at that stage, they're very sensitive, eh? And you know why they would be hesitant to deny you when they say, when you actually pull up. You see, when you actually pull up, you then say, wait, boy, she actually made the effort, boy.
Yeah,
it's the effort.
That's serious.
Is the
And
effort.
I'm thinking, especially if they go home with you, so you're
That's
okay.
it.
You just
follow?
make sure that they put everything there for them. The clothes for them to wear, everything.
It
It's
all goes
amazing.
back to that need to recognize. Ladies, we have
somebody
2 minutes to wrap up the first part of our wrap
and look what you see where we reach. That's right.
But
it
I
was
have to
healthy.
say that we understood, because I mean, Jennifer started with the whole concept of what is this about retirement? You know, the question you asked is it's you're bored, it's not making sense. And I really love this notion that we came up with, that retirement is really for that little transition.
It is.
Because you're going
a 5-year period.
You're going to
it's a settling.
Somebody
it's a settling.
Somebody do it.
It's a settling.
And you're going to train first yourself.
You have to train.
Forget train yourself, because we don't realize how attached we are to that. But I don't want to use it in a negative word. We have no choice. I mean, it made us great. That's second act.
Yes.
What we did for a living, how we earned money, how we took care of our families.
Yeah.
It gave us identity and everything. So it is probably terrifying to think that is no more. And I think a little 5 years to train yourself to manage your time.
You retrain. Train, because most of those years you spoke of were things that were done to you.
Exactly.
So now the role has changed, where now you have to now be the purveyor, the originator, creator of what you want to do.
You had to realize there was a level of laziness going on before. Now you can't be lazy with
Clearly, you can't be lazy with this. And you know what is a good closing statement for me to make at this point? Many, many years ago, I think I was in my either late 20s or early 30s. I read The Art of Loving, a little book. It's not big, by Eric Fromm, a psychoanalyst. He writes very straight up, no going around the book. And he either started the book or a chapter by saying, defining what love is. And he said, love is knowledge and self-effort. That bothered me for decades. So the real world, REEL, put a whole other definition. Visual and audio. Pure eroticism as being what love is, and that you have to mourn.
And it's done to you. It's done to you.
Listen, and it's done to you.
You have no work.
Good. So our parents had pantomime Hollywood where they wasn't hearing. Our generation got TV inside the house. You didn't have to go out to see. It came in your house. So subliminal messages flying all over the place of what love is. And he didn't end there, he didn't just say love is knowledge and self-effort. He then said, love is an activity. It is not a passive affect.
It's a verb.
In other words, you looking like morose, you're looking like, oh God, nobody ain't taking me on. Because our real world, REEL, trained us to be extraneous, look for everything on the outside.
Yeah.
So here you now in this transition period where we have to change the lyric to say, hey, you are all in one. You are all in one.
Yeah.
So what we would leave as a little piece of advice for the ones who still working, 50, 55 and going up. Start conditioning yourself from before you actually reach the plane. And you still have 5 years lining up, as Jen said, between 60 and maybe 65 to settle, to realize you are your own gain, you are your own loss. You could either be victim or victrix or victor.
Absolutely.
You are alone because the stage is there. The players on it. You could say, you see, this stage, it attracting some kind of spirits here that really going against my grain. I go in and change, you could change everything. Where you go, where you frequent, who you go with. And that's your template. So that's my closing remarks. So to be love, you have to have the knowledge which we are sharing here selflessly. And then you have to make the self-effort to say, I could do this.
Right.
Be the best me.
Jennifer?
So, Dr. Rouse, I mean, really. So, those who listen this evening's show, definitely ready for the wrap session. Because there's so much food for thought to rap about. Right? So, we're moving on to part 2, leading up to our wrap session for the Jamboree.
See you next week. Boy, Jennifer, listen, if we didn't understand what retirement meant, and there's a little training program. So many points raised, Jennifer, so many points. That was impactful. But
so that's definitely leading you all up to a real excited wrap session.
Okay, so taking the ad that Jennifer Rouse is talking about wrap sessions, and make sure and come right back here next week for part 2. Bye. People, Jamboree is coming, all kinds of things going on. One thing we having is a wrap session. We having about 2 little wrap sessions. You see our good friend next to us there, Dr. Jennifer Rouse. Who else to have a wrap session with? Dr. Rouse, so many things affect us, and we need to be in this nice open air to just rap about issues. When you do a wrap session, what will be happening in that conversation?
They have a why, and just as you said, by the way, greetings everybody. And rap is the way we go in. Where a simple thing I had to ask myself the other day, but wait a minute. When you were on your own in another incarnation, and you used to, after you finish your housework, you used to go and just play your jazz, smooth jazz, and listen to it. And when last you do that? In other words, what used to be your interest? Or I had another partner, Quattro, Parang, and he, even if it ain't Christmas season, he with the Parang, he with Quattro, and he going on it. And he say, I ain't even know where my Quattro is. What goes off? Are we too busy or lazy, or we using retire as in tired? And oh Lord, one kind of revive that now. We rapping because you all will be, we not saying you all, we will all be amazed at the little things that used to energize us, satisfy us. Even if you say to yourself, boy, you hear that bass, man. You hear that so and you reminisce, because we all from the same historical cohort. So we rapping on things that we have deferred due to the children, due to your own needs and office and work imbalance that penetrate, and you just keep putting it away until it reached the back burner, and then you change the stove, and it will remain on that back burner. And you didn't tap it. Guys,
And what's good to Dr. Rouse, to have a beautiful group of men and women, not just women, men and women coming together, and all of us around the same age group, just rapping. And that is what I liked about it.
And spontaneously so.
Yes.
Correct.
So
Correct.
people, we talking about issues that have come at us in a nice area. In addition to everything going on in the Jamboree, we're rapping with Dr. Rouse and everybody else. So, place your calls fast. Nice.
Something to look forward to. Yeah.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. And you're not getting one, you ain't getting two, you're getting 3 women. Woman, eh? 3 women.
Open
Say it as it is. Open forum. And we keeping it real.
Yes.
That's the main thing. Guys.
Subscribe and follow us from Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean.
Thank you for joining us on this Connections 50 Plus 5.8G Alive show.
We hope you enjoyed the lively conversation and look forward to seeing you next week.
Don't forget to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
We really love getting your feedback. Bye for now.